People just call me Phoenix because they can never pronounce Cheryl.
But Phoenix is an app, right?
Phoenix?
Yeah.
Is it?
It's a browsing app.
Ah, I've never heard of it.
So for once, I thought you were the developer of that app.
Oh, no.
Okay. So for the sake of the majority of our listeners, my dear sister will be doing the translations and alongside. And myself, I have to be very careful in listening so that I can ask all the relevant questions and then we go on. So Phoenix, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope all is well.
All is great.
Are you a Ghanaian?
I think so. You have to find out for me. You guys got to help me find out. All I know is that I came via the Caribbean. Who knows? I haven't traced my ancestry, but I'm home as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Oh, is that Mike?
Yeah. So for once, feel like a president, you know.
You have to, Mike.
Oh, both of them work.
Both of them.
Oh, okay, cool. That's fine. And I'm on. Just so you know, we're streaming live on Instagram on my Black Child Agenda, in the UK and worldwide, and also on my page.
Okay. So you were saying somehow maybe you would have to find out whether you are Ghanaian or not. What makes you feel Ghanaian? What makes you feel like you have to taste before you get to know?
Because I came via the Caribbean, so it was either Elmina, Castle, or Cape Coast that captured my ancestors. And, the British and the Americans or the Portuguese, or it would more likely be the British because I speak English. So, that's the history of most of us who are from the Caribbean. So most of us, there is like a little mass exodus in the UK of those finding their roots and going home. And home to them is the continent. Where they lay is up to them. I chose Ghana.
Right, so in tracing your ancestry, how close have you got into? Have you found anyone yet?
Do you know what? I haven't started because I don't trust them with my DNA. I wouldn't trust them with anything to do with my DNA because they might clone me, and I don't think the world could handle 2 Cheryl Phoenixes at once.
But you could have gone to any other land that contains black people. Why Ghana?
Why not? Because it is one of the best places on the planet, of course. It's safe. And it sounds so selfish, but people speak English here as well, and I don't speak Tree, but I'm learning, and why not? Like, Ghana is where I feel most comfortable. I've travelled Africa quite extensively, and I come back here. So
let me just confirm if indeed you are learning the Tree.
Oh no.
It's
I'm well, thank you. I can't remember how to answer in Tree. And I'm fine. It's how are you, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, I know I'm fine.
Yeah.
How can I forget that?
I could do this one on Sunday.
I know. It's not staying in my head, but this is why I need a one-to-one teacher to give me sentences. I've got an app on my phone for juniors, for children, and I'm still not restoring it. So I need to have one-to-one. So if anyone wants to teach me Tree one-to-one, come and let me know.
Right. Do you feel Ghanaian?
What does a Ghanaian feel like? I would say, I just feel like me. I feel that being here, I've kind of slotted in. People don't know, well, except for the fact that people say you don't look like everybody else. Someone actually said to me the other day that, am I mulatto? Am I mixed race? And I was like, no, I'm full black. So I know I stand out a bit, maybe because the way I dress and my skin tone is slightly fairer. But aside from that, well, yeah, absolutely. And again, like I said, just not speaking the language. Once I get the language, no one will be able to tell that I wasn't born here.
Right. I just remember I want to this very microphone.
Okay, maybe sweet. Okay. It's also an African print, also a little bit fair, but I mean, yeah, organ of war equally one skin tone to say on anything, and I mean, on your bro, so yes.
So
she's lost, but we are just talking about your complexion.
I know, I can see, I can pick up little bits, small. I'm picking it up. I'm getting there.
Right. So I got so far.
Hi, It's here for it, who wonder say here for na uche ha open po 91.7. Me no Obibini so lie wa ha. Na me raba yenya no e wa ha yi. What's your friend Cheryl, but nkofo bebre na no entu me nyewe so friend Phoenix no bia e de friend no. Na oweni so ade hunu bi se obepia ebibi man sa abofra oye Obibini obetum epia ninjuma oya na se won nyoma ye kodu pempen su bi ntia no no eni so ade hunu owo a ode enam ebibi man mu nyina ene na ba be pm e wo Ghana man ha na so no ojitum se Ghana ha no eya bia ofili comfortable na se ha ne de owo ha na onya akomatoyem onya obambo sunku bi oso wetu konya akwa bibi man bebremu na so ha de sunku edemane esa so hunu se ha na ofi na onu ejitum se ne na nanum ye won a first no ukopie me wo ha wo befa won kwai Cape Coast won na Elmina won wo de won fa poso de ko won kopiem wo man fufuru bi so no ne na nanum wo mu bi enti no ema no oye Obibini na Obibini bi sa ne se enti no ne sa no wetuma aye akwenya se ka bia obehu se oyo bi so onje obi edi sa se ebi a wo betwe ni moja ahye se di DNA ti da na se ufia na so free no enya dia ni gidi ewo mu papa enti no ogusua ewo atweyi mu oye nhwemu se obehu bebi potia ofri ase nkofu bebe hu ne bebi a mesima ne kala ne tina na se ne honam dua ne tina binu bebe se onje ntum se obega ne san se oye kokko kaka aha nti oye kokko but ono de ogidi se oye Ghana ni nti bibi mama oye sonko oye Obibini nti ebia ye duru.
Alright, so finish. You just summarize all that you said, and then for the sake of our listeners, tell us about how long have you been in Ghana?
I arrived on the 6th of January and was due to return on the 20th of January, to return to the UK, that is.
But here you still are.
And here I still am. And I changed my flight to the 3rd of March, which is a matter of days away. But then last week I went to the visa office and extended my visa for another 3 months. Oh. And I've applied for residency, and I've bought land, and I'm going to change my flight again.
What land?
Absolutely. I plan on staying here. Did I not tell you that? Did you guys miss that memo?
No, I thought you were just talking, or you were just saying it.
Oh, no. When I say something, I mean it. I've bought land in Elmina and also in Winneba, and I'm going to be building a house on the Mansoy Road. Yeah, so I'm here. At some point I have to go back to the UK to do some stuff, but my work that I do in the UK, because of the lockdown out there, I do here. So I don't actually have to be back there. And to all my guys, all my people that are online and seeing, they're like, my gosh, the sun agrees with you. I'm like, yes, absolutely. And everyone's been saying, no, don't bother come back. Don't come back to the UK. It's cold, it's snowing, it's grey. So, yeah, I'm here for a while. I've got things to do.
Wow. So that is the reason why you've extended your stay by, say, 3 months and all that. So, how different have you seen Ghana from UK since you arrived?
Oh, it's completely different. Complete different. The culture's different. The fact that people greet you is one thing. In the UK, you're lucky if someone even looks at you. It's quite hostile, the UK. The environment's very hostile, particularly for our children. And, you know, you work hard, but you don't get to rest that much. You're constantly working.
You work hard, you don't get to rest.
You don't really rest. You work, and it's like how they've got the system structured is that you work until you're about to keel over and die, and then you can retire. And then, you know, by the age of 70 something, you can start enjoying life. So, you know, it's it's highly pressured.
You virtually have no energy in you.
Exactly. So it's very, very high pressured environment. But there are some positives. We have our communities, like everyone is naturally attracted to those that look like them. So we have the African Caribbean community, and then you have other communities. But my community is the African Caribbean community. So we have it's good. We have good vibes. We've got a lot of positivity. There is some negatives, but you know, here it is completely different. Like I said, people greet you. There's no pavements, which is like, wait, the cars just toot you out the way. But you know, you get fresh food that you know has just been picked out of the ground, whereas at home it's normally in a supermarket wrapped up in plastic. It's a lot of GM, so the lifestyle's completely different, the attitude's completely different, and the great thing about being here is a sea of black faces, and that is the best part for me. It's like not seeing no Oyimbos, it's just people that look like me.
Wow. How are you treated as blacks there in UK?
Like I said, it's a hostile environment. As black people, we're always the criminal. As black people, if you did do something wrong, you'll more than likely go to prison than your white or Asian counterparts, and for a long sentence. What I do, particularly in the UK, is around young people in education and the issues around direct discrimination, girls going to school with their natural hair and being told their hair is not acceptable. You know, it's just it's a constant battle. When you try and do something, there's always a reason why you shouldn't, why you can't, why you won't. And I think a lot of us as a community are tired. A lot of us are tired out there. A lot of us are fed up, and right now we've got a generation of angry teenagers. And a lot of it stems from how they're treated while they spend the majority of their time within an education structure that doesn't like them, doesn't reflect them, doesn't look like them, doesn't sound like them, and they're treated quite appallingly. If you saw the way a lot of children are treated there, you'd cry, because it is very bad. It is sickening, and you know, you'd want to kill people because the way how it is.
I now understand why the fact that people meet you and greet you, you are even okay and very excited about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll come back to the Black Child agenda, but let my sister summarize it.
Of course.
Yeah, and I didn't say a microphone will come to me is right one.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Cheryl Phoenix and no Casano. Na Obibini Josephine say, and so soon be Ghana and United Kingdom in Tim. So what you want one and so soon be na a woman say aha. I had the higher pa Ubehu Opino Biba to my boundaries or Baba Bichiao, which a macy my young choir yet said at Sia, Obia, a ward Dosonco, then my young one, when no be a chia waha, or just a had it, just say, in your my yapa, never so copium, UK, my most way no, Abba your how Jamo, pie ho. Once it's nano, I said, well, ye be before no, and the baby, dim pa. As I said, so you be bini, UK, na say, Bia na uko school, and can come more away from Fanuko school, or say, Wootry wing, and unnatural team, my young upon the bow, and Casawankas also, Yay to Miss Merty, Nede Mayano, Ubeyanko, Fubina Wakasatia, and I was so when you Miss Merty, we are to just say, once it's now on a so Sam Kaka. Na mom no ne papa bum kakra wo ho esanse wo a wo se wo ho a won ne won nyina eti aso yo so beduru ha no ohun se we hu nan kasa ne nkofo wo ha wo wo hwe wo hu nam nani no no nam nani a ni nyina ya pepepe nti o feel se wa ba bia wa ba nan kasa ne dim na o kan se sesia no wa na je so ba betena ha afebo wa to asase well mina na winiba a onam kwan so obehwe se obetum esidan ewo ha ewo manso kwan no so nti oba one e ba betena ha afebo kra se nam ne nkofo bi mu posi na wo do ba oku ba betena mem kobiom wo se sesia no ukopie me wo yuka wo mbebu no a wo mbu efu pa esanse wa bre kwan ya wo fa so abrofo no e de won fa so bibia wo baby akasa won wo se wo UK memu na se Obibini ya de bone no obroni ya de bona se Obibini bo kwa dem ene de che se e wo soro pansi obroni mpo obroni ni wo ba jujuju no kakra ka na so Obibini ya dia na wo gina ne konso de den nti no baby ye gu so ya de yanko no akwa kotuero no
enti ye ne ba Felix na aging common in fact oni be your free but Obibini and before you talk mo kon so mu no one massive could be anti and Caribbean, and on say Ghana or pay and talk about Ghana, and Yamadu also one and then we do more too. So first, I don't know if you heard of the year of return that was in Ghana.
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Oops, sorry. Yes, I did. I remember that was like about 3 years ago now, wasn't it? 3-4 years ago?
Sure. Yeah, I think 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think that could have been an opportunity to actually come.
I know. At the time, I can't remember what I was doing. I don't even know if I was even in the UK. But I've been watching how that's been playing out, and I don't see much happening since. So I was like, do you know what? Let me just come and do what I've got to do. I have got links with some other, like a lot of my friends who are Ghanaian, like born here, lived in the UK for a long amount of time, and then now have returned. So there's a lot of links, there's a lot of synergy. So I'm just kind of navigating my way around that sort of way. And I'm a pretty much, not a lone ranger, but I like to just do what I need to do when I need to do it and now. And I find a lot of times it just takes long to get things done sometimes. So I just get on and get with it.
Meaning you're kind of a go-getter person.
Yeah, if I need something done, it just needs to get done. As we were saying in the UK, we ain't got no time for no long thing. So that's, I know people understand it, but if you really break it down, there's no time for the long thing. It just needs to get done. And I think even how I speak is quite fast, but I think it's because out there it is a very fast-paced lifestyle. So, and if you snooze, you lose.
Well, let's talk about the Black Child Agenda. What is it about? The Black Child Agenda?
So the Black Child Agenda started some 11 years ago now, funny enough, by accident. My business is background, business development, corporates, etc. And at the time, my partner was very sick with sickle cell and in and out of hospital until he subsequently met his demise. But my sons were in school, gifted and talented, top set, well behaved, teenagers. And I found the way how they were treated, locked in rooms, a room no bigger than this studio, and they'll be there all day. And not just them, but I found that all of the black boys were treated differently to everybody else. Not allowed to go to school, not allowed to sit in class and do their work, were sent to alternative provisions, which is basically a school that doesn't really academically challenge the children. It basically teaches them barely basic skills. So because of my experience, and I saw what was happening with our young people on the streets, there's a lot of violence and things, and they're being groomed into criminal activity. I started the Black Child Agenda. And what that is, I basically go in and support parents and young people who have found themselves not allowed to go to school, which they call exclusions, who are being discriminated against because of their hair, their skin. If they have a disability, they're treated differently. So I will represent them with the law. I'm not a lawyer. I've taught myself education law. And some family law as well. So I taught myself, and I go in and represent them, whether that be in the high courts, whether that be in tribunals, or whether that be just in schools against the governors. The discrimination is huge. It's out of this world. If I was to tell you some of the stories, you have children who are as young as 7, and one boy, he was registered blind, but he could see shadows. And this child went to school one day, and when he came home, he had bite marks in his face, and the front of his locks, he had dreadlocks, the front of his locks were ripped out of his head. And nobody could answer as to why this child has got bite marks all over him. And, he's basically battered and bruised, and no one cared. So people like me, then their parents will call me, and then I will go in and represent them and take the school to court, or if it needs be, then an individual teacher. Girls being bullied, girls being over-sexualized, boys being bullied by white pupils or white teachers, and nothing happens. So in a very long-winded nutshell, that is the Black Child Agenda, and that's what we stand for and represent.
So for the past 11 years, do you give us an idea of how many black children you might have fought on their behalf?
It's in the thousands. It's in the thousands. It's thousands. I can average 5 calls. At one point, I was taking 10 telephone calls a day.
Wow.
5 days a week. Sometimes on weekends, I'd have parents so desperate. Sometimes they'll call me at 1 o'clock in the morning. because they don't know where to go, and they've just been given my number and someone actually answered the phone, because there is no support out there for parents and they don't know what to do. Sometimes they know, for example, I'm not saying that all children are perfect, because we know children misbehave at times. But why is it that when a black child misbehaves or makes a mistake, your number one thing is to put him in a room by himself all day with no food, no work, and then expect him to be okay the next day? Why is it that when a black child loses a parent through bereavement or a family member or on the streets, they're supposed to go into school and act normal and not have any emotions? But if they do have emotions, then they get in trouble and they're kicked out of school. So, and then if they're kicked out of school, then they're not going to get any qualifications. They're not going to get a job. They're not going to start their own business. They are going to fall into a life of crime. So in the 11 years that I've been doing this, I can tell you, for example, Ghana's probably about 3 times the size of England, but I cover the whole country of England. I cover London, Birmingham, Leeds, Manchester, Bristol, Coventry, all over. So 90% of my time is spent on the road. Sometimes I have 3 hearings in a day. Sometimes I'll have 1. And I'm the type of person that if I have a hearing and I'm not happy how it's going, nobody's leaving until I get what I want. And I get what I want. My success rate is like 99%. My success rate is high. So that says 2 things. I'm that good at what I do, or there's a real problem with racism and discrimination in the system, and by using the law to challenge it, that's the reason why I'm winning.
Getting an idea of how many cases you've dealt with actually tells me the situation is worse than I imagined.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very huge. And I think we need more of your kind to support the agenda.
Absolutely, we need to. Well, like I said, I don't know if the world could manage 2 of me at once, because I deliberately give myself that I'm a force to be reckoned with especially when I'm coming up with racism, especially when children are innocent. Children don't know anything. They've been on the planet, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You haven't been here that long. So for you as an adult to treat them in a way that makes them now question themselves, question their identity. You know, we've got children in the UK taking knives and cutting their wrists, self-harming because they don't want to go to school, begging their parents not to be returned to school because they're so frightened or they're being bullied that badly that they don't want to go back. Ripping out their hair, 10-year-olds wetting themselves. You know, this is the reality of what's going on. And then they blame the parent. And it's like, well, hold on. This child spends 35 hours a week with you. So what are you doing in all that time that's making them behave in this way? Because they don't behave like that at home. So it is something that we need to triplicate. And there are other organisations who are starting to tap into what's going on in the education system in the UK. I have spoken about it in Parliament, which is the highest place you probably can do in the UK. I started out in Parliament. And I have been on a lot of the mainstream news channels, television channels, challenging the blatant racism that even some of the presenters have towards the black community. And I challenge them and I shut them down, and I'm very unapologetic about how I talk to them and how I treat them, because at the end of the day, in their position, they have an opportunity to affect change. And what it is that it will be in today's newspaper, and then tomorrow everyone's forgotten about it. It's just a headline and a statistic and data. And I'm like, well, no, it's not. We're talking about our children's lives. And if we as a people don't do something different and challenge it, then who is? Because our children are watching us.
Interesting. All right.
Sorry, I know that was a great deal. Sorry. She's going to translate now.
I was getting carried away.
Like, so you guys keep up, right?
Okay, and you know, says the year drew nibble tight through Tia, or and Nyoma Hoa, or ye now. I just yesterday, so I say, we are Abufra, we all be, you know, and Nana Montua holding Nana, Ocean Haka who ask them. Now, yeah. Okay, what's some Obibini Josephine say, you made no decision in Nusuno, maybe drew in Pemper, so answer now, oh baby son, Obeka in some Kakrabi said, or say hono udweti a ne kasa kwampo no eye osho isa so kopiem UK mine mu a one na montu na nyoma wo ye yina ye intentem so one nyama nyoma bia wo ade bia wo ye bia osho so it is I so konam kaneshi it is okay say wo djojo ho a asembe for wase ntina ne kasa so na ade no etesa no o ka asem bi say hono unni time say obayi twitwe nyoma mu kra ade bia wo ye na wo say wo ye no one say in fi du ba akuni odi sa nyoma yi no odi si ne so wo say in fi du ba ko echiwi bi ena ne partner na say ne wo kafo ana one ne wo ho no na yare bi bebo ne kakra the sama ye kan wo ha no sekla no ne dampo ye kan wansam kakra na o say sa yare no e wo no so enwewe yare nti enenemu ana yare hwe na yare samu kakra na yakopon to nsa frɛ na ohwere ne nkwa wie no wo ba benin e wo ne nchen na ne ba benin no wo hwe kwan a wa hwere ne wokafo na abufra ne nyoma a ofemu e wo UK mine mu wona na je se ekwakoye asefem sem kakra o se mufra no won ma won kwan se bia wa hwere we jampo na se we wa hwere papa no e wo se wo emotions bia na se wo se wa susu tum ejam wo de che na we won ma won kwan kra ne santi no so de 9C fom se obehwe ma mufra wo kosa nyomenom nia we china e dia mo se wo ye obibini na won fanhudi ahwa wo se wonya no wo tietia so no obegina so na wa hwe ma sa nyomeni nyina akoso wo anu nti oye na dwe se obegina mu e dia mo e wo embra kwan so nti sa no yo so nye mbrenim ni de na nso so we sua ade afa mbra ho e na ho keka no so wo hwe enyoma howa eto ebibifo ho na wo se ho no eba no ho na mi a se ka memetie ya me ya dwe ma ya tuntum a metie ne chese wo de mpode wo hu kra mufra wo ho no wo kasa tia wo ho na mete wo kasa tia wo ntiri wi huni mesi ye ntiri wi ate gbegbeshi akasa ye ntiri meti wo soro wo kasa tia sebe wo ya abufra na se bi a wo hu atochema bi kakra eno so ya another asem de ma wo ho na chese wo nya kwanya nko school na abufra so nya kwanya nko school a na chese abodi krata be na obetum ekura na odi aye adwuma wo na chese wo nyina wo beja wo emo akokwan mu ema enyoma bone na wo be ye na chese bibifo no woko obibini a na chese enyoma bone nko an wo UK mamu a wo ye intino ogina ema asafo no na oka asembi ese onka asembi nkyerɛ ya abufa bi a na wo ye mfie son a na nani efra e wo UK mamu no o se okọ school da ku bi ba ya obaye no na ankofo akeka no ema wa akeka na etwitwa akeka na wonam nyina na se twa akeka ne but nyina na obaye e be kan na wa ye dreadlocks yi su bi wa ye niti dreadlocks na obaye na obeka ni se dreadlocks ni bi su wetututu hwini bi su efri mu ena ne maame no mu na ebi sase na ede asem na ato abufei na chese okwai no oyo bibini a sebi ohu ade no kwan boni a wode ne fa so eno no na chese hu behia se wo begide mu ama o se bibifu bi no mu a wo ha wo emufra no abrofo ni bi ene won edededa abrofo akyerkyerefo no woni bibifu mu fa ni bi dededa ayama wo hu ma wonye won wo iti safu ni nyina aka ho ena ochine mu edi ama won na obibini bi sare se o hye se adwuma bi ase cases ahe anase nsema ahe na wetu edi so se apem na nembro 1000 and over and nkofo se a day edaku mu no e wo UK man mu nkofo frɛ na ni o se bi no mutu me frɛ na frɛ na esuem donkro wo nyina frɛ na kyese sama ho wa atoto won ni o se ono nim sa abofra bi eni wa oye perfect and say oye cho a obeka say how bi eni mu fra mesi ma wote na enso so e wo se wo fa kwan bi so a abofra e wo ha wa nkaka so yo bibini a wo de ne be fa kwan papa so na wetum anyi na wanyiye o se ho no wo ya abofra na wo hwero maame anasa wo papa unni ho akwanya mpo se wo besu no na wakasa wo class a wo afro ba me anasa wo papa o se ade a wo de be ye wo ho no enya asem keto nti wanyina ye kwan ahrowa onam so a odi djubo so no yo bi a enya de so de adiside ni so jai kra ogina ne nan so de den de so wa aka akwa meye UK imbrahye begwem e de sansem nyina akwa to wanim e wo kwan a wo tietia ebibifu enkaka mufra won fa hudi so e wo UK man mu o se ade abien se anamontu otu nyina no e kire se eye nkunimdi e de aba man pa na se we wa ya ade e wo ana se meto so abien e kire se baby before mo fra woti tie wo fa hodi so UK man mu no akonkan pa akwakodu mpempen so bia e bia wo ye ho hwia enye nti no sa na montuna na edina ba PM e wo Ghana nti no se wutumpo ekọ wo ye obi a social media wo da wona so wo Instagram po a se ye ka se no ko ne black child agenda wo be hu nioma hu bia wa ye won ti komodi no ye guso ye twin bebe ye duru ni.
All right.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Yeah.
But you didn't have an understanding of what she said. What do you say?
Because I know she spoke a lot of words in English, so I kind of got the gist. I'm getting there. Give me time. It's all right. When I come back, I'll be speaking fluent Tree. Watch me.
Sure. Right. Is that the reason you've been blocked from Facebook?
All the time. I'm always like, I think most of last year I was blocked from Facebook. I'm banned on there again now. Luckily I have another account. But yeah, because what I do, I just quote statistics and data. I have my own data because the government has one type of data which doesn't reflect the truth, and I have my own because I've been doing this for a long time. So when I quote statistics like a black child is he's 168 times more likely to be permanently excluded than a white or Asian child. A black child that is in the care system will more than likely be groomed to, do county lines, i.e. carry drugs from different parts of the country to the other. A black girl is more than likely by the age of 11 going to be over-sexualized in how she's seen in the education system. So that's all I do is talk about facts. And because of that, I get banned. So they ban me, and they watch my page all the time. They're always watching my page. Luckily, a friend of mine who actually works at Facebook told me I've got a flag on my page. So anything that comes up, they have the algorithms. So any particular words that come up, it flags up, boom, I'm banned for 30 days. So right now I'm on day, I can't remember. I don't really care because I have another account. And I use my Instagram because my Instagram family's online anyway. So, and I have a lot to say and they don't like that. But there's other platforms. So, Facebook aren't the only ones.
At least it means you must be doing something right.
Well, that's what they say, right?
One day I'm not happy with it. It means you must be doing something right. Before you actually touch this soil or Ghana, at least you have a fair idea, a picture of how the children look like and what they go through there in UK. What picture did you have about Ghanaian children before, or the African child before you came?
That they're quite lucky, to be fair. And I know there's a mixture of histories and families, and I know there's issues and I know there's positives. But the one thing that I have noticed, even when I have been here, is that children are allowed to be children in a lot of the circumstances. Some of the things I see at home with our children, I don't see here. So I just find the dynamic quite interesting, and I'm just watching at the moment. I'm just watching to see. I can't give you a conclusive, but I'm still watching and learning. I've heard a few horror stories and I've heard a few positive stories. So I think it's a bit like anywhere.
Have you gotten the opportunity to interact with some children?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was at an orphanage just up the road from here. Oh, that was so sweet. And I've seen children, even where I am, children come to visit, where they are. So, but like I said, the children are slightly different. They have a childlike innocence, whereas in the UK, children are expected to behave like adults, and they're almost treated like adults, but then they're supposed to act like children. So it's like they can't win. So yeah, it's a bit of complications and confusion. And the one thing I've noticed, which to me is a great plus, is that every time you go in a restaurant or you're walking down the street, there's not a child with a mobile phone attached to their hand and face. Because when you're in the UK, you could, you're out with your family and you put a phone in the baby's hand. And it's like, why don't you speak to her or him, rather than just shoving them with technology. So that's one of the things that is very annoying. And I'm saying a baby that's in, they would push them in a pram. A baby will just sit there like a zombie on the phone, and it's like, I get sometimes where you want them to be quiet for a while, but I don't see that here. And I don't see children screaming or having tantrums and throwing themselves on the floor or telling their parents bad words. You get that in the UK.
Right. Do your children also feel African?
Mine.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, if I show you the video of my son when he was here, he got his cloth and he wrapped himself up and he goes, right. And he's a big guy, so he looked the part. Absolutely, they do. They've been here. My middle son's been here a few times whenever I've travelled here. My youngest, it was his first time, and he was saying, oh, I don't think I'm going to be here that long, so just only book me 5 days. You know, I won't like it, and blah, blah. And he loved the whole experience. This boy literally would go and get 50 CDs and turn it all into one CD. And every time he walked and saw a child, he'll give them a CD, and he'll give them his, and that's all he spent all his time doing, just handing out CDs to children. He's like, Mum, just give them a CD. Have you got any more CDs on you? I'm like, leave my money alone. You go and give your own out. So yeah, they love it here. They all love it here, and they want to come back, but because of the UK lockdown.
So how many are they?
3.
3, and how old is the older one?
The oldest is 30, going to be in 2 weeks. Yeah. The middle one's 25, and the youngest is going to be 24 in 2 weeks.
If the oldest is 30, then even though I don't know your age, we don't look your age.
I know, people say that all the time. I keep telling people I'm 21.
Hey,
She's like, wow.
Yeah, I'm 21.
Wow.
I'm staying here. No, 25. I think I'm staying at 25.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm legal to do everything then.
How are you intending to localize the Black Child agenda? I think that is more in the UK.
Yeah.
Now that you are part of us, now that you are at home, how are we also going to benefit? Because we equally have children who also have issues. We can't pretend everything is okay with the
Yes,
African
of
child,
course.
the African child. How are we also taking it here?
Right, so I have registered an NGO. My registration certificate should be available to me next week. And I've registered the African Child Agenda in keeping with the name. So with that, the plan for us is to build a school here, an international one. So, because like I said, a lot of children out there, a lot of families in the UK are done with the UK. They're sick of the UK. They're sick of the abuse their children face. So they need an alternative. And I'm, like I said, and like you said earlier, rather than complain about the problems, I need to find solutions. So the solution was getting on a flight and coming here. I know here as well, like you said, not everything is hunky-dory. Some children, and my catchphrase from since